Lyanna gently stroked her daughter's hair. Jordan reached over and took Lyanna's hand, the one resting on Carissa's stomach. Lyanna was startled. She thought he was asleep. "Thank you for everything, Lyanna," Jordan said sleepily. Lyanna smiled and let their hands stay together. There was no greater happiness than this night. They didn't need to say anything more. Both their hearts already knew they had fallen for each other. Morning came, and it was Lyanna's birthday. She took her time waking up. She noticed that the father and daughter were no longer beside her in bed, so she got up to get ready. She smiled when she saw a rose lying on the table. "That little rascal probably left this here and will say again that it's from her dad," Lyanna said, shaking her head fondly as she picked it up. Beside the rose was a small folded note. "Oh, there's even a note this time. Let's see what she wrote." But the moment she read it, she let out a loud squeal of joy. She couldn't contain her excitement. She even jumped a little where she stood. The letter revealed that this time the rose wasn't from Carissa. It was from Jordan himself. It was the first time Lyanna had ever received a flower from a man. She used to believe the only time she'd receive flowers would be at her own funeral, but she had been wrong. Her heart fluttered, and she felt like a teenager who had just been noticed by her crush. With a wide smile on her face, Lyanna stepped out of the room and saw that everyone was already busy preparing for the trip. "Good morning, Mama. Happy birthday to us," Carissa shouted as she ran toward her and hugged her. "Happy birthday, Lyanna," the other children greeted joyfully. Lyanna smiled warmly as the nuns also greeted her for her birthday. "And happy birthday to the naughtiest child in the world," Lyanna said teasingly as she kissed Carissa on the forehead and cheek. Everyone was excited. Jordan had rented 2 full buses so everyone could go to the beach, which he owned. They sang during the ride, and it was clear from their faces that they were all genuinely happy, carefree, and free of worries. The trip didn't take long, and as soon as they arrived at the beach resort, the children immediately ran toward the water. Of course, Carissa, who had skipped her bath that morning, knowing she'd swim later, was the first to dash into the waves. "Mama, Papa, I'm going now, okay?" she said as she ran off. "Sweetheart, stay in the shallow part. Don't go too deep and don't stray far from Sister Eva and Sister Lori, okay? Your papa and I will be preparing the fruits and food," Lyanna reminded her. Carissa nodded cheerfully and ran toward the other kids. Some of the nuns were standing nearby to keep an eye on the children. They had to be careful. Not every day was guaranteed to be safe. While Lyanna and Jordan prepared the food, they still made sure to glance toward the beach every now and then. They saw the children playing happily in the water. "They're so happy, aren't they?" Lyanna commented. "Yeah, and so is our daughter," Jordan replied. Lyanna blushed deeply at the word "our." It made her heart flutter. It felt like they really were a family now. Once they finished preparing everything, the 2 of them sat on the sand, continuing to keep watch over the kids who were still splashing in the sea. Lyanna didn't notice when Jordan gently reached for her hand. Her eyes widened as she saw him pull out a small black box from his pocket. "Oh my gosh, is he going to propose to me? But we're not even officially together yet. Shouldn't there be some kind of confession first? But why does he have a box already?" Her thoughts ran wild as she stared at the unopened box. "Wait, are you proposing to me, Jordan? Is there a ring in there?" Lyanna asked, panicking slightly as she moved away from him. Jordan laughed at her reaction. "It's not a ring. It's just a gift for your birthday," he clarified. Lyanna felt both embarrassed and relieved. "I was just kidding earlier," she muttered. "But would it really be so bad if I did propose right now?" Jordan asked sincerely, making Lyanna freeze. "What? What do you mean?" she asked, confused. Then she saw him stand up. And suddenly, he knelt down in front of her. Her eyes widened in shock, and she stood up too, unsure of what was happening. Everyone started to look their way, even the kids at the beach. Sister Anna and the other nuns turned to watch as well. "Jordan, get up. What are you doing?" Lyanna exclaimed. Instead of answering, Jordan slowly opened the box. Inside was a beautiful silver necklace. "Will you be my girlfriend? Will you stay with me as we raise Cararissa together?" he asked, his voice serious. Jordan had wanted to ask this for a while. He didn't want to wait any longer to express his feelings. He wanted Lyanna by his side for good. Lyanna didn't know how to respond. It wasn't a marriage proposal like she had feared or hoped, but it was a proposal for something just as special. "Mama, say yes to Papa already," Cararissa shouted, trying to rush toward them, but being held back by the nuns to keep her from interrupting. "Say yes to Mr. Jordan," ate Lyanna. "He's the one we want for you," another child yelled. Everyone was cheering. Lyanna laughed and nodded at Jordan. She had no reason to say no. She loved him. She wanted to be with him and Cararissa as a real family. "Yes, Jordan. Starting today, I'm your girlfriend," she said with a smile. Everyone cheered. Jordan pulled her into a tight hug and lifted her up, surprising her. Cararissa ran over and jumped with excitement. "Yay! Finally! Mama and Papa are together. I've been waiting for this," she exclaimed. Jordan set Lyanna down and scooped Cararissa up in his arms. "You're so naughty," Lyanna teased as she pinched her daughter's cheek. The celebration became twice as joyful. Since one day wasn't enough for their beach outing, Jordan arranged for multiple rooms so everyone could spend the night at the resort. The kids were overjoyed, especially Cararissa. Later that night, while everyone else was already in their rooms, Lyanna and Jordan walked along the shore hand in hand, gazing at the beautiful moon. "Do you still remember the first time we met?" Jordan asked. Lyanna laughed, remembering it clearly. "Of course, you almost ran me over." "Good thing you hit the brakes," she joked. Jordan smiled. "If I hadn't stopped, I wouldn't have the most wonderful girlfriend and an amazing mother for my daughter," he said. Lyanna blushed. They stopped walking and faced each other. "Thank you for coming into our lives," Jordan said. "Thank you for becoming a second mother to my daughter." "You're so kind, Lyanna. That's why I fell for you. I love you." "I love you, too, Jordan. You and our daughter." "You're my everything," Lyanna replied. They slowly leaned in and shared their first kiss. They felt shy afterward, but they were both happy. The next morning, the kids were already racing back to the ocean. Cararissa joined them, her energy undiminished. Some kids stayed on the sand, watching and eating. But Jordan and Lyanna still hadn't come out of their room. They had gone to bed late, savoring each other's embrace. "Jordan, let's get up. We need to help with the kids," Lyanna said while Jordan lay there, eyes still closed. Later. "Sister Anna's there. I just want to hold you a little longer," he mumbled sleepily. Lyanna playfully smacked his arm, but let him be. Suddenly, they heard a child shouting from outside. "Brother Jordan, wake up. Cararissa drowned." The two of them immediately sprang from the bed, rushing out of the room. They saw a crowd gathered by the shoreline. "What happened, Edward?" Lyanna asked, her voice shaking. "Cararissa. She tried to go to the deep part to catch a fish. We told her not to, but suddenly she was there screaming and calling for help," the boy explained, panic in his voice. Lyanna felt her heart drop. Jordan rushed toward the crowd. The children and the nuns were in tears as they surrounded Cararissa, who lay unconscious on the sand, receiving CPR. Sister Anna cried out, "Jordan," when she saw him approach. Lyanna collapsed onto the sand, her legs too weak to hold her. "Sweetheart, Papa's here. Please wake up. Don't leave Mama and me. We still have so many happy memories to make," Jordan cried as he held his daughter. Everyone around them was crying. Lyanna blamed herself. If they had woken up earlier, if they had watched her closely, this wouldn't have happened. The ambulance arrived and rushed Cararissa to the hospital. Lyanna sobbed the entire way. Just hours ago, they had been so happy. "I'm sorry, Jordan. I didn't watch our daughter carefully," Lyanna said through her tears. Jordan pulled her into an embrace, trying to comfort her, though he too was barely holding it together. "It's not your fault. No one wanted this. We have to have faith," he whispered. "Carissa will be okay." Lyanna nodded over and over again, still crying. They only breathed a sigh of relief when the doctor finally came out and said Carissa was in stable condition. "Good thing you brought her in quickly," the doctor said. "She's out of danger now. There's nothing to worry about. We'll be moving her to a regular room shortly." Jordan and Lyanna embraced tightly, crying tears of gratitude. God had heard their prayers. All they wanted now was for Carissa to wake up and for her to see them first when she opened her eyes. Lyanna wiped her tears as soon as she saw Carissa starting to wake up. She smiled brightly. Jordan came closer after hearing their daughter's voice. "Sweetheart, we're here. Mama and Papa are right here. We're not leaving you," Jordan said softly. Though still weak, Carissa smiled at them. Lyanna kissed her daughter for a long time, overwhelmed with relief. She couldn't imagine losing her. It would have destroyed her. "I'm sorry, Mama. Papa, I was naughty. That's why this happened. I'm sorry for scaring you. It won't happen again. I promise I'll be good and obedient from now on," Carissa said tearfully. Jordan and Lyanna nodded, tears streaming down their faces as they smiled. They just had to wait a few more days before Carissa would be discharged from the hospital. When the day finally came and Carissa was well enough to go home, she returned to the orphanage with her usual energy and mischief. "Sister Anna, Sister Eva, my friends, I'm home," she shouted excitedly as she entered the orphanage. The moment the others inside heard her voice, they all rushed toward her and hugged her tight. Jordan and Lyanna had been terrified by what happened, but so had the children and the nuns. To them, Carissa was family. When the incident occurred, it felt like their entire world stopped. They were all grateful for the answered prayers and for Carissa's healing. Months passed, and everything returned to normal. The accident faded into memory. That morning, Lyanna was up early preparing breakfast. The children had school, and Jordan had work at his company. She had to get everything ready for them to bring along. Jordan now lived at the orphanage full-time. He hadn't returned to his mansion since the accident. He never wanted to be apart from his daughter again. "Good morning, love," Lyanna greeted when Jordan entered the kitchen. He walked up to her and gave her a quick kiss. "Good morning, too, love," he replied. "Is Carissa dressed already? What about the other kids? Are they ready to go?" she asked while preparing their lunchboxes. "Yes, and they're already eating," Jordan answered. After breakfast, everyone said goodbye as they headed off to school with Jordan dropping them off. It was time for him to return to work and catch up on everything he had neglected during those months. Even though he was wealthy and the money he gave was just a fraction of what he owned, Jordan still worked hard for the sake of his daughter and the children at the orphanage. He remained generous and supportive despite now having a family to care for. "Be careful, okay? Listen to your teacher, Carissa, and don't be too naughty," Lyanna reminded them as they left. The rest of the day, Lyanna kept herself busy with chores. But she couldn't help missing the kids and Jordan. Lyanna also continued teaching the children who stayed behind at the orphanage, guiding them in reading and writing. Even though she was now a full-time mother and wife, she never stopped helping at the orphanage. In the afternoon, the kids and Jordan arrived back together. It had become routine for him to pick them up. "Oh, wow! Flowers again. I could open a flower shop with all the flowers you two keep bringing home," Lyanna said cheerfully as Jordan and Carissa handed her fresh blooms. "You're so pretty, Mama. Every time we see flowers with Papa, we think of you," Carissa said sweetly. Lyanna smiled and asked playfully, "Do I look even prettier with this rose on my ear?" Jordan and Carissa both gave her a thumbs up, making her laugh even harder. Every day, Lyanna was showered with compliments from her loved ones. "Love, tomorrow, there's somewhere I want us to go. Just the three of us, me, you, and Carissa," Jordan said. Lyanna looked surprised. Usually, if they were going out, they brought all the kids along. Why just us? Why not everyone? She asked. Tomorrow is Jessie's death anniversary. I want to bring you so you can meet her. And I want Carissa to meet her real mom, too, Jordan explained. Lyanna simply nodded. The next morning, they visited the cemetery where Jessie was buried. The three of them stood before her grave. Carissa couldn't help but feel emotional as she learned about her real mother. She held Lyanna's hand tightly while she placed a lit candle on Jessie's grave. Mama, I hope you're okay up there. I hope you're happy in heaven. Don't worry about Papa and me. We're doing well here. And Mama Lyanna is kind and caring. She takes good care of us, Carissa said. Jessie, I came to say goodbye. I brought Lyanna so you could meet her. I know you're happy for me and for our daughter. Don't worry. She's kind, just like you. She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, Jordan said, looking between the grave and Lyanna. Lyanna watched the two of them before turning to Jessie's grave. Hi, how are you? I fulfilled your wish. I saved your daughter from the fire. Please don't be mad at me. If Jordan and I are together now, I could never take your place in their hearts. They love you so much. But I love them, too. Please let me stay by their side forever, Lyanna said sincerely. What Jordan didn't know was that Lyanna had known Jessie from before. Back at the hospital on the day of the fire, Jessie had asked Lyanna to save her daughter, and she did. But she hadn't been able to save Jessie. As the three of them turned to leave, holding Carissa's hands between them, Lyanna felt a cold breeze brush against her skin. Take care of my daughter and the man I love. Lyanna didn't know where the voice came from, but it brought tears to her eyes. When she glanced back toward the grave, she saw a woman smiling and waving. Lyanna smiled in return and gripped Carissa's hand more tightly. Jordan looked at her and smiled, too. There was nothing more Lyanna could ask for. She was content being with the two people who meant everything to her. Life was simple, but it was full of love and happiness. Years passed, and eventually Jordan and Lyanna stood together before the altar, pledging their vows to one another. They promised to be each other's partner in life and to raise Carissa with love and devotion. Their relationship wasn't perfect. Neither was their parenting. But they were determined to love Carissa and provide every child at the orphanage with the chance to feel the guidance of real parents. Lyanna had never known a mother's love herself, but she vowed to be the best mother she could be. Not just to Carissa, but to all the children under their care. Because just because life had been cruel to her didn't mean she had to pass that cruelty on to others. It was always better to choose kindness over resentment. And that's where the love story of Lyanna ends. Thank you so much to everyone who followed along from beginning to end. Subscribe to Dark Voices for more heartfelt stories.